During his last weeks on Earth, while bedridden in 1967, Robert would reflect on his life. While he was a professor back in the 1930s, Robert's inability to focus made him miss out on so much. In the early 1930s, he co-wrote a paper on what's called the photoelectric effect. It's a description of how light rays can eject electrons from metals. It's the very mechanism that makes our solar panels work today. Instead of realizing what an amazing discovery he had on his hands, Oppenheimer got bored and moved on to another topic that he thought might be more alluring. Meanwhile, the graduate student that he was working with kept chipping at the problem. He wasn't as smart as Oppenheimer, but he had more discipline. He tidied up the paper and fixed some of the technical problems. The result? A Nobel Prize for that graduate student. And the impatient Oppenheimer missed out. But this was nothing compared to his next blunder. He and a colleague discovered black holes by accident in 1939. Strangely, the paper was handed in on the same day that Germany attacked Poland. Oppenheimer and his colleague were playing around with Einstein's relativity equations, and they noticed something funny. It predicted that if a massive star burned through all of its fuel and collapsed on itself, the gravitational field it created would be so intense that light itself couldn't escape. This was the discovery of the black hole, and it was the first academic paper on the subject. So what did Oppenheimer do with this? Well, once again, he forgot all about it and moved on to something else which he thought would be more interesting. Black holes are very important in physics and are increasingly relevant today. If he just stuck with his efforts, who knows what could have been. This behavior would haunt Oppenheimer in the very last days of his life. The saddest part of Oppenheimer's life wasn't the humiliation of the hearings or even the detonation of the atomic bombs. His friends who knew him best knew that the real tragedy of his life was the wasted potential. They knew of Oppenheimer's frustrating brilliance, but he just simply couldn't focus and see things through. His friends knew that he got distracted with the fame and the politics after the Manhattan Project. He had left his true calling, which was physics. To them, the sorrow of Oppenheimer's life was that he never became the Einstein that he could have been. Heartbreakingly, Oppenheimer knew this. When bedridden with cancer in 1967, Oppenheimer's wife, Kitty, begged his friend, Freeman Dyson, to visit him on his deathbed. She wanted them to do scientific work together. She said that Oppenheimer had finally realized that he'd squandered his potential. He wanted to give science one last go. She was hoping that Dyson could give his spirits a boost. But Dyson declined. He would later say, quote, "I agreed with Kitty about the roots of his despair, but I had to tell her that it was too late. I told her that I would like to sit quietly with Robert and hold his hand. His days as a scientist were over. It was too late to cure his anguish with equations." After a short battle with the disease, Oppenheimer would pass away on February 18, 1967, at the age of 62. Despite his passing, the work he began continued. Since the first atomic bomb tests, the world has seen a proliferation of nuclear weapons. As of now, 9 countries openly possess nuclear weapons: the United States, Russia, the United Kingdom, France, China, India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea. Despite numerous treaties and agreements aimed at nuclear disarmament, the world's total number of nuclear warheads today is estimated to be over 13,000. Most of these belong to the United States and Russia, making them the most dominant nuclear powers on the planet. Unfortunately, technological advancements have increased the destructive potential of these weapons, and for this reason, the threat of nuclear war remains a global concern.
If there is another world war, this civilization may go under. We need to ask ourselves whether we're doing all we can to avert that. We need, I think, to learn to understand the realities of life abroad, not so much in terms of slogans as in terms of the lives of men. In our response to these realities, there is hope for peace.
Oppenheimer's story is a stark reminder of the power that lies in human knowledge and the care that we must take in its application. As society continues to push the boundaries of science and technology, we must take note of Oppenheimer's journey and navigate our own path with a mindful balance of curiosity, responsibility, and a sense of humanity.